What's going on, YouTubers? Luis here from Tow Universe. It's January 14th. I hope everybody's doing all right. I'm doing okay. If you saw my last video about my, blowing two motors and stuff, we're not really off to a good start for the new year. We also had another incident. So, if you saw the pictures at the start of this video, that was a payout for a vehicle that one of my employees had damaged. We don't get many damage claims. In the last almost 10 years of being in business, I think I've only had to pay out twice. This is the second time. If you follow this channel since I started it years ago, in past videos you hear me state that you want to make sure you have enough money in the bank account for these incidences. It's the same thing as motors. If you got to replace an engine, some kind of catastrophic failure, it's just one of those incidences where you want to have money set aside. And the biggest thing, and this is very critical when it comes to startup businesses, is as much as you want to use your insurance on stuff like this, you don't. Because tow truck insurance is so hard to come by right now that the less they know, the better. Pay it out of pocket. Make it go away. Because the moment you contact them and say, listen, we had an issue, there's a big possibility they're going to drop you. I went through this in the past. I was actually dropped because somebody hit one of my tow trucks in my driveway. I was dropped a month later. They didn't say that was the reason, but I'm 100% sure that was really the reason. So they don't want to see any damage claims, especially when you're a startup business. So make sure that you've got enough money set aside for these incidences. And that was a big nut, especially unexpected. This was something that could have been prevented. It was operator error that caused this, and it sucks. So, needless to say, what ended up happening was my driver was winching this 2003 Ford F-150 up to bed, and he didn't check his securement. In other words, it came undone from the bridle and the hook. And it's got one of those tin latches on the hooks that, on that one, it was still there, but it wasn't in the best condition. And I don't know if he wasn't paying attention, and the bridle was sitting at the very tip, and when he got it 3/4 of the way up, it let go, and the vehicle rolled on him. And luckily, there was a bush that absorbed most of the impact, because it also had hit the corner of their garage, and that's why you see like the stone decor fell off. But if that bush wasn't there, it'll probably cause foundation issues to that house. So we were grateful for that bush was there. And also, too, it could have been worse. Thankfully, nobody was standing behind it. So it was a learning experience for that particular driver. He's been with me for a while already, and it scared him. As you know, I've never had a vehicle roll on me like that, but I could only imagine what's going through your mind as you're trying to chase it to stop it. So after that, and this is one thing that if you guys are going to start hiring employees, you're going to have to dummy proof everything. As soon as that happened, the next day I pulled that thing into the shop. We put a new wire rope on it with a self-latching hook. And I don't mean that stupid tin one. This is an actual self-locking hook so that this doesn't happen again. It was a little upsetting, but in those situations, you can't. And since I do consultation for a lot of companies, guys are quick to get defensive in those situations. And that can backfire on you quickly. And like I said, the last thing I wanted to do was go through insurance. I didn't want the customer to push for my insurance. So in those situations, you got to remain calm, because the calmer you are, the calmer the customer is. So when my driver called me and told me what had happened, I sent Tollman 127 out there to assess the situation. He got me the pictures. And then that's when I reached out to the customer, and the first things out of my mouth was, listen, I'm sorry for what happened there. This is not a common occurrence here, and we will fix it. So what I did was I told her, listen, we got a great relationship with Gerber Collision. It's a big corporate shop. This isn't somebody that I know, that owes me a favor. This is actually a professional place. Take it there, get an estimate, and then we'll decide there what happens. So she ended up getting her truck repaired because it was going to a shop for a fuel pump issue, And then she drove it to the collision shop where they did an estimate. She called me back. She's like, listen, I got the estimate. Came out to $4,300. And I told her, I go, okay, so leave the vehicle there so it can be fixed. Well, she was kind of like, listen, I kind of need this truck for the next few weeks. Can you just cut me a check? And this is where you have to be careful. Is a lot of people want the payout. And if you just pay them out, there's a possibility that they can come back and demand more money in the future. And I've had this happen in the past. So I said, that's fine. I'll cut you a check out to the registered owner of the truck, of course. And I also had her sign a hold harmless agreement, also known as a release agreement. And what that does, it releases me of liability for the damages to the truck. So the moment she takes possession of that check and signs the paperwork that I have for her, she can't come back and say, listen, I went to get it fixed and there was some more damage. Can I get some more money? So, and she's fully aware of that. So anytime you pay these people out, utilize a bank check, a cashier's check, a certified bank check, have them sign the paperwork, make sure you're getting 2 original copies, one for them and one for yourself, and stick that in a file in the event she wants to get crazy and come back at me. We can settle in the courtroom, and she already signed the documents and it's a done deal. So anyways, back to the having the money on hand for these instances, because like I said, you really do not want to run these things through insurance. The only time you want to utilize insurance is if it's a high dollar amount and there's bodily harm involved. That is when you want to get insurance involved. Because right now, that is the reason why insurance rates are so high. You got guys that are ripping bumper covers off and they're running it through insurance. We're talking about a $1,500 job and you're running it through insurance, and your deductible is $1,000, it doesn't make sense. So whatever you can do to prevent from having the insurance companies involved, please, just pay it out of pocket. And in this situation, that was a F-150, a Harley Davidson edition. The thing was clean. It's a collector's item. And the last thing you want to do is run it through insurance and then it ends up on their Carfax. Because if it ends up on the Carfax, it decreases the value of the truck. And, that's also a selling point on why insurance should not be involved. But the biggest thing here is you have to communicate with the customer. You got to be level with the customer. When they call, answer the phone, and don't lose your shit on it. Stay calm and composed, because like I said, the moment that you're all crazy and you're denying stuff and you're not you're not investigating the situation, is the moment where that customer is gonna get the police involved. She's gonna get police reports, and then the insurance companies are gonna get involved, and that's something you want to avoid. So, anyways, it doesn't happen often here. Like I said, it's the second payout in the last few, in almost the last decade. So I'm ahead of the game, but set money aside. I try to have at least 10 grand set aside for those incidences. And of course, you got to follow up with the employee. If you got to retrain them. This guy learned from his mistake. I'm sure he's triple checking connections now, even with a self-locking hook. But anyways, I hope this doesn't happen to anybody, but learn from my experiences, all right? But hit like and subscribe and slow down, move over, and everybody be careful out there. Thanks for watching.